I wouldn't say that we rebuild the model in each place, but I think there is, in this work, learning that happens continuously. So the things that the direction of learning is slightly different in each of the places we're describing. So, for example, in Kenya, in the public sector, there's a lot of learning that we need to internalize about how people interact within a strict hierarchical culture. And our work, rapid results work, is about partly about empowerment. So it's about taking a break from the hierarchical culture. So that aspect of the work becomes both more challenging and more impactful, because that you're running against the grain of the established culture. But when you actually enable leaders to create the space in which people can operate that way, the delta of impact can be phenomenal. In the US, that's less of an issue. But in the US, for example, particularly in the work we're doing on the homelessness, in particular veteran homelessness, the big challenge is how you get members of different organizations, different agencies across several sectors to come together and put aside each of their respective agendas and agree on a common goal that they're going to pursue, without necessarily having anybody being able to dictate that, not because there's no hierarchy, but because there's so many multiple hierarchies that it's going to have to emerge from the collective wisdom of a group of stakeholders from different entities. So the direction of the learning that happens around how we apply the model is going to be much more intentional around that particular issue. And these are not things necessarily that I can go and study the culture and say, here's how we're going to change how we apply this. This is much, it's kind of a rapid learning model. Let's start with the basic model, but let's be humble enough to know that we're going to learn a ton from the first experience, and then we're going to help the local sponsors integrate these learnings into how they take this work forward. There's something human, I think, about people wanting to associate themselves with results. In many places, I think in the US as well, results are political. They're the currency of a politician, being able to say they delivered. So what we typically do is, again, rather than try and go through a big engagement and study for how do we pull the politicians or the leaders from institutions in, we try to get in initially with a small enough space that may not be noticeable in the beginning, just enough protected space to help some people achieve results that they can really feel proud of, and then advise them on how to create, in turn, the space for others to plant their flag. And that's how that's a strategy to get the coalition built, if you will, as you go, versus sort of starting by spending a year building the coalition before getting into action. So it's a little bit of reversing the flow. You start the action in a small enough place and then use the currency of results to build the coalition.